Welcome, Ajahn Ricardo and the audiences to my presentation on the course of International Development Strategies. I'm Jason, and I hope this presentation will bring you additional information as well as something to think of. Let's begin. These are the content that I will discuss on what I think about development and what I have learned. So, who am I? First of all, I am the person that trained with interpersonal skills, intercultural skills, and the skills in customer experience analysis. Experiencing several jobs and studying international business major have improved my interpersonal skills, made me more confident and ready for my future career. I used to travel and had the chance to see and learn the cultural differences of different parts of the world. So connecting my travel experience with what I learned from cross-cultural management, I have received the intercultural skills. Well, it's not that I know everything about all different cultural backgrounds, but I believe in my skill of dealing with people from different cultures. So one of the best things that I have ever obtained from business learning is that data is a new oil. Data is about the internal industry, the new materials, the competitors, and most importantly, the data of the customers. This is the core of the business, and I have grabbed the skills of user experience and the customer journey mapping, some of the most effective functions to analyze the customer data. So what do I think about development? In my understanding, development is a process of changes that contribute to the new formation of an individual, which can bring new opportunities to achieve the goals in life and do something that the person ever wants without restraints. I think of development as the changes of every human being, firstly for the benefit of that individual, then the society. Changes are broad, and it can be anything that the individuals in the society like me want to make something different, to be a better version of myself or having a better life. I made some changes as far as I've been living bodily and mentally. Development is also about opportunities because people want to develop for reasons and purposes, right? I changed my job several times to create myself opportunities to do something that I could not do before, such as getting a better job with a higher salary, gaining more knowledge, and traveling around the world. As a person that is always urging for development, I am aware of my rights in life and I want to use them to impact society in the good ways. So I acknowledge that there's a thin line between doing the good things and bad things because sometimes the human rights are used with not good intentions. The conceptions of developments are various, and these are some of them that I consider to be meaningful and perceivable key lessons. This pyramid of J. Allen's development model has a human capacity as a background to sustain the other upper levels. This implies that the human capacity is the first and the most important thing to develop before developing any other upper layers. Development comes from the development of every single human being, which is the root to nurture the development of the leadership, organization, community, and the whole economy. So when discussing the human capacity development, education is always the beginning subject. Therefore, education is a major factor of the human development. There are also essential aspects that play a major role in human capacity development, the basic needs. So the needs for clean water, food, air, shelter, and clothing seem to have nothing to do with the human capacity development, except the fact that they do, pretty much. right? So I came to study in Thailand here, where if I didn't have a place to stay or to sleep, how can I study effectively? And can you imagine on the larger scale, the poor countries are usually underdeveloped. Starvation, diseases, and poverty stop people from developing their capacities or going to school. Just that. And rather they work hard every day, for not being hungry. Therefore, the basic needs are crucial in the journey of developing human capacity. Before being skilled or good at something, human beings need to be in good physical and mental condition. Amartya Sen suggested that the development encompasses freedom in political voice, economic choice, the equal in opportunities in society, the clarity assurance, and protective security. He also mentioned that the poverty is the opposite of development, the underdevelopment, because the poverty restrains the underdeveloped communities to access these types of freedom. This fact is common in developing countries of the global south. Although people are beneficial from the emerging economies, they are still considered a dependent force that serve the economy instead of controlling it. Their choices of living and job opportunity are not as much as the upper class due to the understandard educational background. In terms of political freedom, they can't voice their opinions or being forbidden to participate in political activities. Vietnam is one of the countries that don't have the law of protest and free speech, which would be the key factors that improve the life of Vietnamese and develop the country if they were placed. When a country's production and consumption increase in quality and quantity of goods and services, it develops economically. The GDP growth of Thailand has increased from $126 billion to over $500 billion. The GDP fluctuation from 2000 to 2020 cannot stop the country become the Asia eighth largest economy. Economic growth has positive impact on Thai people's development, such as increased personal income, the benefit from good infrastructure, social services, and a better education. These factors improve the living of Thai people and bring them more opportunities to develop themselves. Therefore, the economic growth is the development that creates chances and convenient conditions to support the growth of people, communities, and the countries. Development as distributive justice assumes that there will always be a fair distribution of goods, opportunities, and resources to all human beings. The development in some cases or some places do not exist because of the existence of equal outcomes regardless there are equal works or some individuals or groups possess a greater amount of goods more than the others. The global north regions mostly achieve the distributive justice since the political and economic mechanisms promote fairness to all individuals, which cannot be seen in most of the nations of the global south. Canada and Myanmar are the best examples of the development of the distributive justice concept. Canada was ranked number 2 on the list of the countries most committed to social justice in 2020. The country is highly scored in almost areas from the extent of the open for business, entrepreneurship, the agility, the quality of life, the social purpose categories. Canadian citizens are encouraged to respect their diverse cultural backgrounds and be treated fairly in the modern and high standard of living. Canadian government has effectively aided its people during the coronavirus pandemic with proper financial support during the pandemic lockdown and for the sickness recovery benefit. Not to mention that more than 80% of the Canadians are fully inoculated and the country has been giving the boosters. Myanmar, on the other hand, is a different situation. On the same rating chart, the ASEAN member was positioned at 57th. Myanmar was underscored in almost categories compared to Canada, especially on the quality of life and social purpose. Before the political chaos, Burmese citizens have long lived under the upheaval circumstances of the least social justice, restrained human rights, and non-recognition of property rights due to the dictatorial government. The COVID-19 is another hardship for Myanmar people when the government did not make any effort to support the citizen but refusing to give the required health care. Hospitals closed down, the medical system was collapsed, while the medical staffs give up on their job. This could explain for the low vaccination rate of 40% received by the half population as of April 2022. If J. Allen's 5 levels of development start with the human capacity, Todaro's 3 objectives of development begin with the improving human life, such as enhancing the level of living, increasing incomes, and the ability of spending on food, services, and education. This objective could be the solid foundation for human capacity development. When the basic needs are assured, people will focus on skills development. So the second objective is developing human dignity. The social, political, and economic system and the institutions are built to condition people to grow their values and advocate human integrity and respect. The last objective of development focuses on the people's freedom of choice. So people have their choices in doing business and consuming a variety of goods and services. In the poorest countries such as Somalia, South Sudan, and Congo, these 3 objectives are still far from their reach. Less than $2 in the daily expense of these extreme poverty nations. And as of December 2021, over 90% of these countries' citizens were not inoculated, compared to 60% of the vaccinated citizens of the world. So when the first objective of development is failed to apply, is it no chance to implement the next 2 objectives? So the country system are too fragile to guide their people on the path of achieving their true values, while the freedom of choice is a luxurious thing for these under-privileged nations. So therefore, the first objective of development is important to the development of human life. I think that the poverty is hindering the development. The poverty is described as a poor economic condition and low quality of living, while the extreme poverty is determined by the living on under $2 a day. The human beings battled with the poverty for more than 2 centuries ago, which resulted in a considerable decrease in the poor population. In today's world, more than 1 billion of people has been rescued from the extreme poverty zone since 1990, but there are still almost 700 million of the world population are stuck in the miserable poverty life. Moreover, the coronavirus pandemic added over 96 million of people to the poverty population in 2020, according to the World Bank. This destroyed years of effort in eradicating extreme poverty. I think it is important to erase the extreme poverty because it roots many other issues. Like living in extreme poverty can leave people in insecure situation, dying due to hunger or diseases. Being poor and not able to access to the basic sources may lead people to commit crimes and being guilty like stealing, pickpocketing, or even murdering. The food shortages and starvation also cause millions of children to get malnutrition disease and die every year. Therefore, erasing extreme poverty will save millions of people, especially the women and children. They are the most vulnerable, dominant groups in the extreme poverty population. The poverty can be wiped out by financial aid or the contribution of the basic needs. The estimated amount of money to get rid of the poverty is over 170 billions of dollars, which could be donated, especially from the wealthiest class. In terms of the basic needs aiding, many NGOs and charity foundations have been doing their best to support the poverty. Bill Gates, for example, he uncovered the idea of inventing the waterless toilet to aid the people in Africa, where hundreds of millions of people are exposed to the dirtiness condition and clean water shortages. Gates' contribution not only solved the mentioned problems, but gradually reduced the fertility due to the diarrhea, a curable disease elsewhere but fatal in some African regions. Junior Achievement Worldwide, an NGO organization, has been providing its quality and practical educational programs to more than 10 million students around the world to help the poor youth get rid of the poverty. Another solution to fight the poverty is governing the national budget in a good manner. Like each country has its reserve and budgeting for the public spending, right? But most of the time, the government uses it wrongly. So instead of spending the domestic budget on supporting the poverty, the Vietnamese government, for example, used that money to build various extremely expensive, useless construction and monuments, which is, very unacceptable. So removing this bad governance will contribute to the poverty eradication. Okay, the discussion of poverty was my last part of this presentation. I just want to conclude that as a young person who is also lucky to live and to have the opportunities to self-develop, I truly understand why we as a human beings need to develop and improve each one of us from inside out. Not like the poverty or the underprivileged people. I am fortunate to live my life without being hunger and miserable, but being well educated, being given the chances to learn and to thrive. The more I grow, the more I feel the importance of supporting others with my abilities, the knowledge that I have accumulated and developed throughout my never stop learning journey. Thank you for watching this presentation. I hope that you all find it informative. And if you have any questions, please reach me at my contact details here. Take care and be safe, everyone.